the backgrounds of our panelists are our richness today, because they come from such a diverse background, and they will add a lot on the vision, on the trend forecasting landscape. So, first of all, from our vantage point, we would like to share some general reflections that we have been undergoing, studying the market, and also through the initiative ourselves we were sharing with our designers from our community. So trend forecasting as a general phenomenon, the fashion industry has always felt the need to coordinate in the prediction of trends. So through sourcing fairs, fashion week experiences, advisors reports, and magazine content. With their instructions, mostly driven by an invisible oligarchy from the system's superstar. So this is the, let's say, existing old situation. What we have observed is that we are undergoing a disruptive change era. So we are generating a more liquid structure at many levels of the creation process, and bringing on deep changes also on the way the fashion industry is developing and spreading new trends. So even at their generation, there are modifications ongoing. So the shifts were very slow once upon a time, although the seasonal matter, the seasonal factor has always been there. But anyway, the shifts were much slower in the taste, in the functionality for any fashion item on the stage. Now such changes are getting too fast to be tracked from above, from some organization, or coordinating from some superstar system or few players. So, and we also want to give credit to the KOL culture that was already legitimating some of the current changes in the recent times. So we are moving further from the legitimation of the KOL's culture in a way. It's spreading further. So we believe that a new movement of grassroots crowdsourced forecasting is finding room for building. And our guests also are part of this movement. So we tried to gather people that were representative of different perspectives from grassroots. So all players in the game, that's exactly what we mean. Because the point is no longer researching the trend for designers, for brands, for any part of the supply chain, but rather taking part in a diffused real-time trend generation for just-in-time use. So let me explain better. So fashion victims, fashion critics, online shopping reviewers, freelance designers, opinionated corporations themselves, material developers, merchandising staff. Eventually, it's like all players are formally invited to engage in this game. That's fun. We know that. With an equal chance of authority. So this is the point, and that's how we want to nail it through this initiative and conversation. No matter how marginal they could have been as rings of the old trend-setting chain. So without further ado, I will let our guests also share their opinion on this matter, exactly because we believe in exchange. So for the first question, we would like to, let's say, throw on the table to start the debate. So exactly what changes in the fashion trend forecasting habits and tools did you notice through your professional path so far, also in the light of the pandemic disruption, for that matter, to be more linked to the, let's say, to the news? And I would let Chiara Cesaraccio speak first. Maybe she also wants to introduce herself for the first answer.
Yeah, thank you, Elena. It's really a pleasure to meet you all and be part of this challenging conversation. So I briefly introduced myself. So as you said, I'm a freelance fashion designer, accessories designer. So shoes, bags, and accessories. And after winning a scholarship at IED in Florence, European Institute of Design, I work as an accessories designer for many brands, both international and national. And then I established my own company, shoes company, Chiara Cesaraccio, that it sells around the world. So briefly, it's me. For your question, I want to start from the end. So what happened with this pandemic? Mostly restriction and increased amount of time. So fashion had to face several problems from store closing, not much digitalization, not shop online for many brands, but above all, I think the consumer had fewer opportunity to buy. And for this reason, fashion industry had to experiment in order to create more engagement. So virtual fashion show, games, avatar, retail platform, talks, podcasts. But one, I think, most successful experiment in this period was the growth of product placement in TV series. Today, as never before, TV series are really able to amplify the reach of a trend or launch a trend themselves. And I think this because the public of a fashion show, even in the digital version, remain an audience of fans. Instead, the broadcast platform during the pandemic increased a lot and now have really a huge number of subscribers and so potential customers. I think an example of a costume designer who managed to create engagement through product placement is Patricia Field. I don't know, guys, if you know her. We know her from Sex and the City, Devils Wear Prada, Ugly Betty, and her last is Emily in Paris, launched on Netflix. And here in Emily in Paris, we have so much brand like Chiara Ferragni, Chanel, Staud, La Perla, Ganni, Nike, that have benefit from this joint venture. To give you an example from my achieved real sales boom. And also on List and other platform, there was a high increase in searches, for example, in Marc Jacobs' camera bag and in Ganni's skirts. And all the brands have really benefit from this joint venture with Netflix with the series. So I think now this experiment through TV series is really growing a lot. And it's very important to see it because for example, not only we have a product placement, but through TV series themselves launch really style trends. For example, the color palette of Bridgestone or the 60s silhouette of the Queen's Gambit. I don't know if you maybe see it, Elena.
Yeah.
So
I didn't watch it all, but I know about. It's like you have a mood board, an imaginary that is coming on, and
yeah, it's very inspiring to see the diversity, you know, on this TV series, and really they gave us many points of view, many inspiring points of view. So it's really good to see it now. So
please just conclude.
No. Just in conclusion, I think that now the launch of a trend, it's really more democratic and meritocratic, as you said before, because it started from the consumer, so from a real need of a real world. So it's the consumer that directs the story because he wants that fashion tells its present. So I think it's very upside down now.
Yeah. Very insightful. Thank you, Chiara.
Thank you.
For the next opinion, for a contrast, I would ask Riccardo, who also I know is quite opinionated on this.
Well, hello to everybody, and thank you to the organization for the opportunity to be here with you. And I apologize in advance for my English. Please consider that that my business is been developing especially in the northeast of Italy. And I'm a sales manager for some Italian fabric company. And I have the opportunity to follow the best international brands located especially in Veneto zone. My target client are Armani, Moncler, Moschino, Bickenberg, and also many denim producers like Diesel, Replay, D-Square, Jacob Cohen. For example, Incotex for men's pants. But I also work with companies having good revenue all around the world with other brands not so important. As you know, I have a different position compared with the other panelists because my job is to promote the collection made from suppliers inspired, first of all, from the yarn fairs. Yarn, but also research realized from fabric stylist that is different from the other stylist, and the fabric stylists who travel all around the world. The fabric comes first of the fashion trend, as I already told to Ellen in these days. Fashion trend arrive immediately after. Sometimes we have seen items which never been developed in a fashion. I had the opportunity to see some different changes, often totally opposite. When I started more than 15 years ago, the season were only two, spring, summer, and fall, winter. Now is totally different. Probably we can see the 8 or 10 season in 1 year. Anyway, the presentation of the fabric collection started normally in February with the Milano's fair. At that time, 15 years ago, Moda in, not Milano Unica. And we could visit at that time, the client until the end of April, more or less. After the presentation, I received the request of sample to make a proto, but it wasn't strange to receive directly the request of sample rolls with which the client prepare the collection for their agent. PT in June was, is, and I think will be the showcase and the real presentation of men's garment collection. In the same period, every company has to start the sales campaign. Year by year, every client, every big client is correct to say, pretend to see the fabric collection a few earlier. The reason is clear. They have to plan development and production outside Italy, and it takes time. Before COVID, the brand arrived to see the spring-summer collection even at the beginning of November. And in my opinion, it's crazy. It's crazy because no fabric company can have a new article for spring-summer to show so early, because they just finished the presentation for the fall winter in November. Yeah. And also the client planned to view before the end of December. What's happened? The mid-range brand that I nominated before, the mid-range brand saw old collection of the last year. And now I'm joking, but I want to say, fortunately, COVID arrived, because quite frankly, we cannot discuss it without the pandemic. We cannot discuss about the trend without the pandemic. We are living in two worlds now, one before the pandemic and the other amid the pandemic. Obviously, we will admit that we don't need to come up with this matter if we were to be before the pandemic. The fashion trend can be defined as what you really will want. I would be a sort of psychological research. The point to catch the trend, to
That's
change,
good.
is to pinpoint when people would be bored at the current trend. In order to do this well, is to see and travel more where the changes emerges from. However, our legs are tied during the pandemic. There are only two ways to research. One is online and the other one is offline. In some countries, the online shopping market is going up. I had experience with the Asian market a lot, but they are expert in this. Also now in Europe, in Italy. Fortunately, it's the only way to see what kind of items are selling. And a lot of designers are studying and exploring online shopping and social media. I know I'm not expert of this, but I know that. There are other tools to back to their old archive. As I'm an expert because I'm getting older, and the old archive is
okay. Maybe me, Riccardo, because you have a lot of insights. Okay. Maybe I would let some, because I think also the next question can give you some opportunity to continue explaining your point.
Perfect.
And I would gather also the opinion from Elena and Sam. I think the first question is the bulkiest one, so everyone will have.
I will be more fast in the next.
It's okay. That's my job. No problem. So I would now go on with Elena, that I'm sure wants to add something meaningful from her fashion school direction viewpoint.
Sure. Hi, everybody. It's a true pleasure being here with us. Yes, at the Istituto Marangoni, which is a renowned school in the fields of fashion design and art, with the branches all over the world: Milano, London, Paris, Shenzhen, Mumbai, Miami, and so on. We, of course, take in high consideration trend forecasting, which is my field of competence. I'm a professional trend forecaster, and I've been working in this field over the past 20 years. And currently, I'm the head of trend research at nextatlas.com, which is a trend forecasting platform which uses artificial intelligence to spot emerging trends on social networks. And so it's a true pleasure for me having the opportunity to discuss this fascinating topic, because the trend forecasting industry has existed for just over a century, so it's relatively young. At the same time, we have been witnessing remarkable changes over this century. So I would say that the technological disruption has redefined this sector, and the crowdsourced approach that you, Elena, were mentioning, and that is the point at issue in this conversation, resulted from the social media revolution, somehow inverting the traditional dynamic of trend diffusion that, historically speaking, has been always top-down. And so what we have witnessed with the social media revolution is the inversion, also because both the fashion and the design industries have become very articulated ecosystems, as you said, with a number of different players and stakeholders involved. And literally, innovations and new trends bounce within this ecosystem, like reverberating. And so it has become more and more difficult to track the evolution of trends, since their path to the final consumer has become, in some cases, a little bit chaotic, I would say. Overall, I do firmly believe in the democratization of trend forecasting and in inverting as much as possible this dynamic. So giving voice to, let's say, everyone involved in both the fashion and design industry in becoming trend spotters, content creators, and not only passive recipients of trends and styles identified by others. Thanks.
Yeah, I think you expressed that perfectly, with even better words than ever. So yeah, let's also ask Sam what's his general opinion about this, and then dive into more detailed questions.
Yep, thanks. Yep, thanks, Elena. I'm honored to be here sharing some of my thoughts. So let me introduce myself. I'm the co-founder and marketing director of Vfluencer, and Vfluencer is a competitive intelligence platform for social media in China. So we have been helping a lot of brands from all over the world to target the Chinese consumer, specifically by using social media in China. So, so what changes in the fashion trend forecasting habits and tools that I realized? I've been in the industry for almost 10 years now. So I've been technology, big data, social media guy. And then just a little bit about the history of social media in China. I would say back to about 10 years ago, there were only WeChat, Weibo, and that's it. So in terms of the fashion trend forecasting, for example, I guess everyone heard of Taobao, right? So when basically you can buy anything from Taobao because China used to be a manufacturing country. China can manufacture everything, right? So Taobao is a gateway for the country to sell stuff, not only to the local people, but to the outside world as well. So with WeChat and Weibo, we are able to promote the product in Taobao. That's it. So you look at the picture, you look at what people say about the product, about the brands, and then I go to Taobao to buy the stuff, and that's it. But back to about 5 years ago, there are Douyin, TikTok, or the Little Red Book, or Bilibili. There are so many other social media platforms coming up in China. And also there is something called social commerce that is blooming since about 5 years ago. So basically what happened was a lot of the KOL or the influencer, so instead of just posting, the good looking pictures like Instagram, right? A lot of Instagram did to Weibo, but they can now sell stuff online. So basically, they can pick some stuff from Taobao, like a T-shirt or a pair of jeans. They sell it online. They sell it in a live channel. They sell it on a on TikTok in a live streaming section. When her audience likes it, they buy it straight away. It's super streamlined. I would say social commerce in China is leading the world. It's basically creating a new way of how people look for content, shop for stuff, and especially fashion. Because when I mentioned about the KOL from China, the first generation of KOL, I can't remember her name in English, but her company went public in the US back to about 3 years ago. I think probably some of you guys might heard of it. So what she did in the past was she sell clothes, fashion stuff. She's a young lady, and then she can make millions of dollars a day. So I'm not a data scientist. I cannot really forecast stuff. Basically, what neither do influencer or the KOL. But what she did was she picked some items from a shop, from other suppliers. She presented in her live channel, or on her own, social media channels. So immediately she's able to tell, is my audience, is my followers gonna like this product? Or even that, one step further, I have the sample of this product, but I haven't really, mass produce it. I start doing live, streaming section, present the product in front of all her audiences, 10,000 orders. Okay, I've got the cash in my bank. I make it. So that's the trend. So regarding the pandemic, I guess it's got negative effect to the whole world, of course, including China, because people not going out, and then so everyone stays at home, and that really speeds up the it basically forces a lot of the manufacturer or the brands or the entrepreneurs to become more digitalized, connecting offline and online, speed up the whole process 10 times faster. That's how I see it.
Yeah. And again, you will have more chance to go in detail later. The first question for sure was the most robust. And I will go back to Elena for the second question. That is, about what transformation, based on what we have just been chatting about, what further transformation do you wish for the future of fashion trend creation and forecasting? So this is a bit more personal about being constructive.
Well, I would say that the true challenge that we are all somehow invited to tackle is to go beyond a traditional contraposition in trend forecasting, meaning experts on one hand, the professional trend forecasters on one hand, and this crowdsourced wave of contents created by people that are passionate about fashion, that are the fashion lovers, that are the fashion and design students, that are, let's say, people that for a number of different reasons are provided with a vertical point of view about it. And so I do wish that more and more in the future, the trend forecasting industry will go beyond the traditional barriers, not only between professionals and amateur, but also going beyond the traditional distinction between a qualitative approach to trend forecasting, namely expert-driven, and on the other hand, a quantitative approach to trend forecasting, because this is something that, for instance, we are doing at the Next Atlas. We have a data-driven approach, and then we have people that working with me also interpret and contextualize trends. So it's humans and machines together in order to spot emerging trends. But the distinction between data and analytics on one hand and human intuition on the other hand has been quite an issue in the field of trend forecasting for a very long period of time. So I do wish that more and more will be able to square the circle and to overcome this distinction, to find the best way to put together analytics, meaning also numbers, percentages, volumes, measuring the weight of trends, and then the human intuition in understanding and spotting weak signals.
Yeah, very, very insightful. I would continue for an hour, but we are running out of time already because we are enjoying the conversation. So I will jump back to Riccardo on this point, because based on what you have just shared with us, so what's the direction you wish for the trend forecasting?
I will go very, very fast because I know the time is not from our side. My point of view is that in Europe, for sure, we are still in a war. The showcase in the centers of the most important city are almost empty and the shops are closed. I hope that the sale will be florid again in short time. That's my first of all, my wish for the fashion industries. And
that's nice. Nice of you.
I think that is for everybody. In the past, I have seen many Italian manufacturers where artisans were putting all their strength and know-how on the sewing machine. I think that it was to be really important for the final buyer know exactly who made the garments and if the workers can be respected in their human rights. Brand have to work in. This is my point of view. But let me say that I'm also a romantic and I still believe in the made in Italy. And then, and then I trust in
we all do, in exchange, let's say. Global, but both ways.
Of course.
So, oh, yeah, no, if you have anything quick, we are open.
No. Nothing else. Okay.
I would go to the next one so we can get a couple of opinions for each point. Because the next is a little bit again for Sam and Chiara, I guess. And from Sam first, because there's digitalization on this, but also sustainability. And I want to see how you match these two. So what is your view on the impact on the fashion trend forecasting of these two big recent game-changing factors that everyone are always calling out?
So I go first, or?
Yeah, you go first, Sam.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, I'm more than happy to elaborate a little bit more on the digitalization. So following my my point of view just now about the influencer or the KOL culture in fashion, they are for the smaller brands or the KOL brands, I would say. So and there is there used to be a differentiation between the smaller brands or the luxury brands. For example, the Gucci, right? So for the luxury brands, the way that how they differentiate themselves, not only the price, but more about their selling strategy. They're more, human touch. When you walk in the shop, they provide you, the extraordinary service, right? So you feel premium about the user experience. But because of the digitalization as well as the COVID situation, not only the smaller brands, the big brands is also struggling on the offline shops, as I see it. So they have to go digital no matter what. But how do they differentiate themselves from all the other brands or smaller brands or individual brands? They have to be doing a little bit more or a lot more on the digital side. For example, 2 days ago, Michael Kors organized a live fashion show in Weibo just 2 days ago, and I think they're the only one who did that in China as a foreign brand. And for example, LV did a live streaming in Little Red Book last year, and they're a little bit different because they're not a live fashion show, but more they want to mimic your shop experience. So they have this live section. They're putting a couple of people in the live so that they can interact with their customers. They answer questions, they give you feedback and stuff. So in my point of view, there'll be a lot more advanced technology on the online fashion industry, except for example, the virtual reality or the augmented reality. I'm sure they will be applied to a lot of bigger brands to differentiate themselves from all the others.
Sure. Great. We will keep following you and your updates through Befluencer.
Yeah.
Chiara has surely a different and equally enlightening viewpoint. So what's your impression about these two giant factors about trend forecasting as a designer?
Yeah, I think that the digitalization supports the idea of sustainability in a certain way. And I think that together they will be the best way to create a new ethical fashion. For example, the first impact that I noticed in these past few years, it's the priority given to natural, sustainable, recyclable materials with a lower environmental impact, and also details with the craftsmanship are privileged. The real point is that the accessories must be the best combination of functionality and aesthetics. So rethinking about the idea of comfort and fun for a future that is more practical, more sustainable, and more essential. So I saw really a growth of the upcycling, even among the big brands. That means that the practice of reusing the waste materials.
True, very true.
Yeah, but also the second-hand and vintage market has also growing a lot. I think all brands have revised their business plan, committing themselves to achieve certain sustainability goals in 3, 5, 10 years from now. And I think this point out a great awareness to a subject that is very real. So yeah, that is my point of view.
Yeah, thank you. You are right. They are also linked between the two. Sustainability
absolutely.
can be helped much by digitalization, avoiding physical say, fixtures and happenings to go.
Yeah, wasting of money. So it will change this joint with digitalization and sustainability will change also the production of the products. So and designing and the production also. So it's very challenging.
Thank you, Chiara. So for the last question, I will ask you guys to be fast because it's more like a sort of bet. It's like playing a game. So I will ask the four of you. What's your guess of the most remarkable trend happening in the next few months, let's say, / years, specifically in your sector? So it's like a 1 minute answer kind of questions. Maybe we can have Riccardo first, and then
not 30 seconds is enough. As I mentioned, retro replication inspired by their own archive trends to be the strong trend, and the materials are polarized in terms of quality. That's all. But the middle level brand suffering for the impact of the pandemic. The low-level economical brands are talking up their material share. They are smart to work, copy the trend from the luxuries brand and the high-end street brands, and then adopt them into the low-quality fabric with the fancy pattern. And the luxury brands are trying to focus on the finest and the highest quality that they can hardly state. And yes, my sector in this period is really cloudy. Everybody's looking for the first week of sales, and then after lockdown, and then we will see, especially in Italy.
Yeah, crystal ball. I knew it was not 30 seconds. Anyway, we love you.
No, a little bit 35.
Yeah, no, thank you. And I like this crystal ball feeling. And so how about Sam?
To me, I think people's been stuck too long, at home, including myself. I think if I'm expecting, the COVID will be getting better, especially in the second half of the year, I guess. And then the economy will be booming, I guess. So because, people are not traveling for 2 years and not spending a lot. And I think the market will be recovering very soon. But on the other hand, because of COVID, pandemic, there are a lot of people behavior has been changed. For example, like we work from home, we buy stuff online, and this behavior, I think, is not gonna be rolled back to what we were in 2 years ago. But will be changing like gradually, I guess.
Okay. So a new normal, but not too normal, like not exactly as
that
before.
is the word.
Okay, well, you like to take it a bit blurred as a prediction. Okay, that's fine. And let's listen to Chiara.
Yeah, I think that fashion will becoming way more inclusive, more personal, more functional, and more truthful. I think. Think about the faces and the bodies of testimonials, how they changed, but also the aging of the models. For example, from the Fendi last fashion show, where we saw real women or former supermodels, but over 50s, And so brands, I think, will be proposing themselves as a media, creating a community to set up a strong narrative that is real and speaks really of the present. Yeah.
Sounds good, and quite optimistic about the future. I'm with you. And last but not least, actually, our real authority in the field, Elena.
No, not at all. Thank you. But well, I would say that crossing the boundaries between fashion, design, and arts will be more and more witnessing the virtualization of everything, meaning virtual fashion, computer-generated influencer, virtual objects, virtual interior designs, also generating powerful aesthetics on one hand, and on the other hand, also as a reaction or as a way to rebalance this extreme virtualization. I expect an increasing quest for material things, raw materials, being transparency the most important value that consumers will be longing for. Transparency is not only a matter of aesthetics and materials, it's how we approach the entire value chain behind both fashion and design. So making the entire value chain trackable, for instance, taking advantage from the blockchain technology to make it traceable for final consumers and to ensure the sustainability of the entire supply chain. And so, yes, I would bet on transparency, visualization, and an extreme tactile approach to both fashion and design. All these things coexisting together, not in replacement one of the other. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. Actually, awakening the senses and also finding ethics in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. There's a lot of inputs, and it was lovely. I will just go through a couple of very last points that are conclusive on this conversation that I hope will stay ongoing. Actually, we will also have a sort of chapter 2 for this webinar. And anyway, we will stay in touch because we are the players that can make the change happen. So it's up on us. Anyways, let's just go through quickly together more details about the initiatives we are also thanking, because that's the platform we are using to make this conversation happen. So sampleroom is a new social marketplace powered by APLF that is active now, and we invite all the guests and friends to explore. It's good for the sourcing players and also for the buyers. It's the new Agora where where all involved parties can meet up in a digital and sustainable way. So we're just attending the change. We are witnessing the change in real time. And this is our own platform initiative that is making this crowdsourced trend forecasting movement actually building. So that's where we have been drawing inspiration also for the webinar topic. And Chiara, by the way, is one of the selected designers from the community who is providing their insights through reports to share their vision with the whole audience, I mean, a global audience. So, and this is really the open source future for fashion. So just follow us in case you want to explore more about this series. So for the audience, these are the direct contacts in case you want to get in touch with some of the guests, if you were particularly touched by some of their points. And we will share the presentation file later also through the host. And we are ready for any questions if there are any from our audience directly. Maybe also the APLF team can support to check if there's anything in the chat. Otherwise, since we were already running out of time, let's see. Yeah, I guess there are no direct questions. And if you have any also, or you want to exchange opinions between you guys. Not now. Okay, we will take time later to organize a new chat for following up. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I hope you enjoyed the dialogue, and keep it real, keep it up, and see you for the next chapter.
Thank you very much.
Everybody.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Take care.